So maybe it's not necessarily partisan here, like it's in left or right in these instances. It's almost like belief based. It's like, you know, you have a lot of people on the board who have been in private business before. They might see this view over here. You also have a couple or several, at least two, that are really knowledgeable in a lot of environmental areas. And then Rex seems to know a lot of everything, a lot of everything, or at least it sounds like it. You know, we all at times probably get stuck in those different categories of good old boys or environmental to this side, and it's like I think what we all really want to do is strike a balance, but community doesn't seem to care. The community wants to drive wedges, and get people um, amped up at times. I think it's more fun that way. You can do more social media posts. I don't know.
One of the things that I've heard about Humboldt County in regards to local government is that there's a lot of pressure on the board from members of the community with very deep pockets, to say it politically correct. And I would just want,
Oh.
not in reference to you
No, but
specifically, I just wanted to get your take on that.
what's interesting, I think you could find that in all levels of government, and I suspect it's not just Humboldt County. I actually probably felt it a little bit more with city council. Um, didn't mean that they were. I don't know if I want to say deep pockets, because deep pockets can be. You got a lot of people who are litigious that have deep pockets,
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
and then you
more so
got.
influential, I guess you could go
Yeah,
that route.
I would think that. Well, I know there's this lot about calling about the good old boy club, and
Yeah.
I'm not a boy, and somehow I'm one of them. But I will say, when you waited on people for 30 some years and you've known them your whole life, and apparently it just accidentally happens to you. I don't know, but I think there's always pressures, but I think you have to look at it's like, say there's a development issue, and you might have, someone can look at the situation and go, well, these people who want to have this development and their friends who benefit from that, they can apply pressure to try to get the vote they want. That same item, you can have people going, oh, the environmentalists, they're going to go after here, and they can do a lawsuit because they'll sue over that or whatever. So, it's kind of interesting. People define deep talk pockets are influential in different ways, and I think I think there's opportunities, no matter what side of an issue you're on, to have people that fit in that category. I think there's a lot of emphasis on some of the ones that are like projects for, like housing projects, or we're going to have, well, maybe I won't have the wind energy project on my plate. Had one before though that kind of went sideways. And like with that one, I don't remember, I wouldn't say they influence that. I think people use that as just an easy way to try to say that if it's not going their way, they're going to blame it on somebody doing a favor for somebody else. That's what it kind of sounds like. But I haven't had. It's not like people approach me with bags of money. I always heard about that in other times. So it's like, does that really exist? And no, I don't want to find out.
That good old boys club, that sentiment has been very apparent in my research around different various political podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I used to get upset by it, and it's like, people will peg people in whatever hole they want to stick us in. On, like I said, it could be others are going, good old boys, and then you got the environmental crazies, and I'm not thinking that any of this is crazy or there's good old boys. It's just that people tend to pick sides, and maybe that's how maybe it's not necessarily partisan here, like it's in left or right in these instances. It's almost like belief based. It's like, you have a lot of people on the board who have been in private business before. They might see this view over here. You also have a couple or several, at least two, that are really knowledgeable in a lot of environmental areas, and then Rex seems to know a lot of everything, a lot of everything, or at least it sounds like it. You know, we all at times probably get stuck in those different categories of good old boys or, environmental to this side. And it's like, I think what we all really want to do is strike a balance, but community doesn't seem to care. The community wants to drive wedges, and get people um, amped up at times. I think it's more fun that way. You can do more social media posts. I don't know.
Get more clicks that way.
Yeah, but and that's funny or not funny. A lot of the folks that would have fit in the good old boy network have through the years, they're not here anymore. And you've got a lot more women that are being somehow pegged into that hole, and it's just we need to change the name. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's it's not looked at it as a sign of it's not said as a sign of endearment, put it that way.
Yeah, it's not. It's not
Yeah.
a good thing when somebody throws out your name in reference to that club.
Well, and I think there's a lot of association too with who you know, and because you know people that might be seen in that light. It's like growing up here, as you did, and especially with my work in the restaurant. I know people from all walks of life. I know a lot of people in a lot of different, types of businesses, and am I friends with a lot of them? Uh-huh. Do they come to us because they have an issue? It's like not usually. Actually, I think it was more in the city where I'd get people. I had one guy who I don't think anybody. I don't even know if this person's around anymore. No names like given, but I remember he called and he's like, I gave you $100. How did you vote for that? This is during the election. And I go, here's your $100 back. But it was like, that was the one person that really, and I thought, okay, you're kidding me, right? But there are people that would do that. And I'm thankful that I really have that was the one that I remember the most. And over such a small little thing, but it was one of those moments where it was like, thank you for your support when I ran, but my decisions are my decisions, and you might not like them. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a pretty blatant display
No,
of.
that was funny. I mean,
Yeah.
I laugh at it now. He didn't. He's. I don't. If he. I don't. Haven't seen him for a long time. I can guarantee. He would not talk to me still. But it's okay. But it was over. To me, that was such a. It was like, okay, that's the wrong idea of what government is. You know. But yeah, people say a lot of things, and I think it's just a small community. We all know each other, and maybe that's the bad
the
thing at
the
times.
problem. Yeah. Is it hard trying to balance those relationships, especially where you did grow up here and you grew up in the community and you've been in politics for so long? Is it hard trying to balance friendships where maybe they try to cross a line and say, "Hey, can you help me out with this?" Maybe just
I,
push it through a little bit.
I actually have, maybe it's because I don't have a lot of like permits and stuff in my district, and I think maybe I have received more inquiries about, hey, can you find out where this is in the payment process? I think I've been really fortunate. I can't think of many instances where someone has explicitly asked me what happens, like if I know someone's having an issue with a permit, or there's something going on, I'll just pull a meeting together. But it's not up to me. I'm not going to make staff do something. I mean, I keep hearing these. I have heard some things being said about a couple supervisors, you know, shepherding certain things and pushing certain items. Um, I'm not involved in the specific areas. I'd like to think that they're just trying to help give direction, because we do walk people through the process. Um, it's not appropriate for any of us to pressure staff to okay something. Do I reach out to them sometimes and say, hey, can we figure out where we're off on this and see if there is there a path forward? But I'm only can able to speak for myself. I don't have that. My district is mostly made up of the city of Eureka with some in, across the bay and Myrtletown. So I probably have less
Pressure in that way.
yeah, I think so. And because the majority, I mean, City of Eureka is the governing body there, but I do get calls. I get, calls about, can you help me with this? And what I'll generally do is just they say issues of neighbors having an issue. I get a lot of that. It's like my neighbors putting stuff in my right of way, or we need a speed bump here. We need a sign. Those are my those are more of what I get. And for things like that, a lot of it is just connecting people with, public works or doing research to know, well, is there a way to get a stop sign here or whatever. So I think that's more of mine is dealing with people who are having disagreements with neighbors. We have a lot of that actually, and I think I've got less project focused. When it comes to cannabis, I'm thankful that I know this sounds awful. I probably know the least on the board about cannabis specific. I mean, I've obviously been dealing with it on the board at the board level, but when it comes to permitting and all that, I go by when it comes to us as an appeal. I learn as much as I can on that specific one and work my way through it. But I would not be the one to shepherd a project through anywhere on that. It's just like, I am not your person for that. So,
Did you get any of it as the mayor, where you are a little more
no,
included
it's
with
funny. The mayor is not really, it's
no
funny.
power?
Well, not much. It's like,
Oh,
it's
I
a
wouldn't
very
have
much,
guessed that.
it's very much, some ways, I always think of it as the face. It's like the face of whatever city. And, the only vote you get is, well, actually, let me change. Some mayorships are more powerful. City of Eureka's, and I think probably all of our cities are a council mayor form or city manager form of government, which is basically the city manager is more like the CEO. And there's some places where mayors like Oakland, the mayor is a powerful person on his own, right? Or her own. Now, I can't remember exactly. I said I didn't bring it to San Francisco, so mayor does a lot of they only get to vote in a tiebreaker and stuff. So it's not it's I always saw that one more as a ceremonial. And I think Susan Seaman's doing a great job. She has a lot of initiatives going but that kind of thing. But when it comes to singing, no, I don't remember it then either. Probably in the city councils where I saw it more just because it was a smaller group of people and I had that restaurant open, so
Mm-hmm.
people would come in and I had to listen while I'm serving them. It worked. So
Have you? Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, right? Because if you've got a friend who's a cop and you're like, hey, can you help me out with the speeding ticket? It's one thing, but when it comes, or if you had a friend who's a nurse and you're like, hey, can you help me? I'm in the ER. Can you help
yeah,
squeeze me in? Those are different. And then it comes to political government, and that's a hard stop because you're supposed to
yeah,
be impartial and you have to put everybody else's interest above your friends or your family or your own.